why should we encourage in Canada Canadians to be hewers of wood and drawers of water? Why don't we re-educate the masses, the Canadian public, so that we direct our minds to becoming high-tech, value-added with respect to knowledge and so on, and stop relying on selling oil and gas and fish and trees and so on. And if we allow this pipeline to go through, we're just perpetuating this servant mentality in Canada, which is, we'll provide the world with all its raw materials, but it's sort of like designed in California, manufactured in China attitude. Why don't we do the designed in Canada and let China go drill in their country to find the oil and the gas or whatever they want? It's like we're becoming the servants of China now. China goes to Africa to get their raw materials. China comes to Canada to buy oil and gas and coal and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a mentality switch. Okay, so my question is, if we allow the pipeline to go ahead, we're perpetuating this servant attitude. Let's change the mentality so that we can encourage exporting products that require high education rather than picks and shovels. Let's go drill for some oil.
So we're perpetuating that because it's the reality of things. Oil, whether we like it or not, is very much a big part of our economy.
It's a prisoner's of money.
Yeah. What are we going to do without it? It's highly valued across the globe. I mean, even if America and Canada could...
Okay, but I want you to answer my question. Why perpetuate this hewers of wood, drawers of water mentality? Let's put our efforts into education. Let's sell high value added rather than fish and trees.
I mean, the transition to get there will cost.
Yeah.
As for myself,
Well, this might be a good start. This is going to be a signaling device. And the government says, enough is enough. We're not the servants for China anymore. And I just use that symbolically.
Yeah, that's a good point.
fair enough.
And what's the answer to that?
The answer is put it this way: there's a pot of gold. We need.
What
There's
is
a gold
the
there.
what is the share of the export income coming from crude oil?
Pardon me?
What is the share of our export income coming from crude oil?
Our share of revenue. So if it's probably like 2/3 of a barrel, and then
No,
there's
no,
8,300.
Out of all
What
our
percentage of our exports
income is
income arises from the export of oil and gas?
It's a large portion. It could be even larger because this is the second largest reservoir.
what is the share? What
discovered.
is the percentage of our GDP?
GDP.
What is it?
Oil. Number.
And your argument is that we should do it because it is a large portion of our income.
All right, I have a question. Last question.
15 to 20% of our export.
Is that right?
One question or two questions?
One question.
One question.
Why not take advantage of our comparative advantage in oil and slowly wean ourselves off of it, and in the meantime we can use the profits to move towards not being hewers of wind draws water, that transitional issue.
We
Why
can use
not?
the savings that we made.
No, and this is a question I'm putting to the negative.
Right, weaning ourselves off is exactly what needs to happen. I mean, obviously cutting oil off is going to have devastating impacts on the economy. That's not what we're arguing for. We're arguing for start investing now in the
No, but they're already investing. They're already investing.
But it's not sufficient enough. It needs to...
We are, but I'd like to answer the question a little differently, actually.
Okay, wait, I'm getting all confused. My question is this: why don't we capitalize on our comparative advantage, realizing that it's just a short-term thing and we're going to move away from this in the medium term? Let's not have what do you call it, a cold turkey solution of stopping drinking alcohol today. We're going to slowly, or a better example for me, drinking Coca-Cola. Let's slowly drink 3 cans and then 2 cans and then 1. So we'll slowly move away from selling oil. In the meantime, let's grab the profits we
Yeah.
can.
Well, we already have the technology for renewable resources that could supply our economy and energy out here and, create the energy for it. Solar power, wind power, we have like cars that run on hydrogen, but why don't we see them on the roads? It's because you can buy that initial product and the company will profit from it, just like they will if you buy a car. But there's no ongoing profits that private industry can take from consumers because you're not putting an input into
Okay, I'm
the
going to
source of
stop.
transportation.
I'm going to stop the debate with one last question. One of the major costs environmentally is this water issue.
Yeah.
One of the benefits is to the country is the royalties. Which one's bigger?
Well, ecosystems have employers.
Have you got a study or data that says the cost of the lost water is greater than the oil royalties?
Well, I'll ask you,
In other
do
words,
you value water?
is there a
more
cost-benefit analysis on the loss of the water versus the benefit of the oil
We
royalties?
have not come across a study that does this exact
Professor.
comparison, however,
Malhotra, you're shaking your head. What's
Here.
that?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm just Lincoln too. Take it easy.
Oh, so what's the answer?
Well,
Is there a cost-benefit study?
no, there is no study, but I think it's rather intuitive. If you just think.
How can we go ahead with such a major project and not even have a cost-benefit study? I can't believe that.
Well, I mean, it's not in the company's interest to have those things happen, I feel like, in everybody's interest.
It needs to be a private.
Especially if it's against.
Yeah, also depending who you ask, right? I mean, if you ask the environmentalist, they would say environmental cost is much
Yeah.
more higher than
Exactly.
the other benefits.
But
If
the
you ask me-
But in the long run, we're
Five-
making a decision.
Has the government done a
Well,
cost-benefit
The
study?
government actually has quite a big stake in.
So therefore, why not do an environmental?
The government
impact
gives
before-
permission to TransCanada to do the environmental study, and then they're funded. Actually, in Alberta, the person who's on the chair of TransCanada, she's on the board of approvals in the Albertan provincial government. So there's a conflict of interest, huge conflict of interest. If you're being paid salary by TransCanada, but you're on the board of approval for the provincial government, how can we? Which was my question. How can we trust
Okay.
Canada or the big
I'm
decisions
gonna have
that's
to
funded?
call it. I'm gonna have to call it. It's great. It's very, very interesting. I haven't got a clue what the answer is, but it's very, very interesting. It astounds me that such a major project the government of Canada would not do at least a sort of a. I mean, they've got a whole bloody department in Ottawa called the Environment Department, Department of the Environment. Why